suiciders to kill innocent life, who had relations with Zarqawi. Imagine what the world would be like with him in power. The idea is to try to help change the Middle East. Now look, part of the reason we went into Iraq was the main reason we went into Iraq at the time was we thought he had weapons of mass destruction. It turns out he didn't, but he had the capacity to make weapons of mass destruction. But I also talked about the human suffering in Iraq, and I also talked the need to advance a freedom agenda. And so my answer to your question is that imagine a world in which Saddam Hussein was there, stirring up even more trouble in a part of the world that had so much resentment and so much hatred that people came and killed 3,000 of our citizens. You know, I've heard this theory about, you know, everything was just fine until we arrived, and then, you know, kind of stir up the hornet's nest theory. It just doesn't hold water as far as I'm concerned. The terrorists attacked us and killed 3,000 of our citizens before we started the freedom agenda in the Middle East. They were. What did Iraq have to do with what?
The attack on the World Trade Center.
Nothing, except for it's part of, and nobody's ever suggested in this administration that Saddam Hussein ordered the attack. Iraq was the lesson of September the 11th is take threats before they fully materialize, Ken. Nobody's ever suggested that the attacks of September the 11th were ordered by Iraq. I have suggested, however, that resentment and the lack of hope create the breeding grounds for terrorists who are willing to use suiciders to kill to achieve an objective. I have made that case. And one way to defeat that, defeat resentment, is with hope. And the best way to do hope is through a form of government. Now, I said...
The votes are in. Barack Obama will be our nation's 44th president. And money manager Peter Schiff is far from optimistic.
He's going to ride into town on a mandate for change, but the change that he's going to deliver is change for the worse.
Schiff, who called the economic collapse in his book Crash Proof, says Obama's plans for bigger government will only dig us into a deeper hole. And as for Paulson and Bernanke's plan to pump good money into bad banks, Schiff says that will only make matters worse.
You say that right now it's worse economically in the United States than it was in the fall of 1929?
Yeah.
How so?
The government is refusing to allow the markets to rebalance the economy. They're trying to reliquefy the markets. They're trying to prop up family companies. They're trying to get more credit into the system. They're trying to get Americans borrowing and spending even more money when what we need is the opposite of that. But I think our industry has now been hollowed out. We have no more savings left. And I think the government could turn the next decade into something even worse than the Depression.
You like gold. You like some of the gold miners. It seems like you're saying is we're going to see some serious inflation going forward. How bad can it get?
It can get very bad. I mean, I've talked about the prospect of hyperinflation in the United States, and that's something that we're actually dealing with. I mean, the government is really trading inflation for depression right now. They think they can inflate our way out of this problem, but they can't. And the underlying problem is once the rest of the world really senses the direction that our currency is going in, and once the creditor nations who have been funding our consumption and buying all our bonds, once they stop doing that, and they will, then the demand for dollars is going to collapse.
Schiff's big hope is that after 4 years of Obama and a Democratic Congress, the country will lose its taste for big government.
Maybe the term of Barack Obama will be kind of like a Jimmy Carter. You know, he came in during bad times, took over for Gerald Ford, but then it got worse, and then the country went to Reagan. So maybe we'll make that kind of switch after 4 years of Obama hell.
Will Barack be the next Jimmy? Only time will tell. Greg Greenberg, TheStreet.com TV.
I'll make our government open and transparent so that anyone can ensure that our business is the people's business. Justice Louis Brandeis once said, "Sunlight is the greatest disinfectant." And as president, I'm going to make it impossible for congressmen or lobbyists to slip pork barrel projects or corporate welfare into laws when no one's looking, because when I'm president, meetings where laws are written will be more open to the public, no more secrecy. That's a commitment I make to you as president. No more secrecy. And when there's a bill that ends up on my desk as president, you, the public, will have 5 days to look online and find out what's in it before I sign it, so that you know what your government's doing. When there are meetings between lobbyists and a government agency, we'll put as many of those meetings as possible online for every American to watch. When there's a tax bill being debated in Congress, you will know the names of the corporations that would benefit and how much money they would get. And we will put every corporate tax break and every pork barrel project online for every American to see. You will know who asked for them, and you can decide whether your representative is actually representing you.